Kuhn is the fullback with the first and goal. Kuhn gets the call. Pyle trying to make his way in for the touchdown. What a great second effort. Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that. I said so. I keep big bills up in my heart on the dirty like blood. So ain't got no twist in my head, but I'm still dreadful.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good folks at the Roto Street Journal, paving your way, acting as your lead blocker to fantasy excellence, and it's getting closer every day. I mean, it's double-digit number in August now. It's what are we like 4 weeks away from real football, something like that?
I mean, we have preseason action on the TV, which is obviously beautiful. Yeah, but real football is like, I think it's the 11th, right? Or
okay, so we're like almost exactly a month away.
Under a month. We are within a month, yes, because Thursday's the 8th, and that's going to be the Rams-Bills too. Oh, baby. We're getting close.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm your host, Nat the Truth Jones. With me, as always, the Wolf of Roto Street himself. Went on a little bit of a tangent there, but hey, it's baked best ball. Give us a break.
The whole point of the show is these random tangents, a little bit more relaxed. We've had two great guests on already this week. If you want that more analytical stuff, go hit that. It's awesome. But if you just want to watch us draft, talk about whatever comes to the mind, whatever players are on the mind, like Mike Thomas catching 4 touchdowns. Sir, stay back. We got plenty of football talk. I'm sure you have some random stuff to pull up to as well. Always do. It's been a while. It's been over a month since we've done this big best ball. First one in August, so we got all the training camp news to kind of react to. This will definitely be a different set of ADP and discussion points since the last time we did this. It's
true,
right?
Well, one of the guys that you just brought up, Mike Thomas. I mean, a month ago I would have been a lot less interested, but you can consider me. I've been seduced.
Seduced by Mike Thomas and how he's going to go 110, 2 touchdowns week one.
You're very intrigued, right?
Of course. How could you not be? Last time he was out there, he had like 140 catches. I'm just going to enter the best ball mania, as I am baked too, as we go here to just kind of kick that off, get into the draft. That's why the people are here. If you like what you're seeing, please consider hitting that thumbs up, getting us going, get the questions on it, because this is definitely one where we can hit it easier. Truth, I have to keep the draft board up on a separate window. So if there's questions and stuff, do you mind just pulling them up? And at any point, happy to talk, whenever it's a good time. Looks like we're 2 people away as well to get going here. So I'm looking forward to this one, Truth. It's been an absolute minute. How's everything? I guess we did talk.
Everything's going good. Here's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Snowy Mountain Farms. Wolf, how much do you charge for someone to just turn total control of their team over to you?
So, did somebody ask that?
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have to discuss that. I've never
really. It would be a conversation, probably.
Like cousins and friends and stuff who I know, like if they win it, they're going to give me a cut and I can actually follow up with them. Doing that for a random fan for a cut and then never hearing from them again, it's probably what would happen. So I don't know. I don't know exactly.
No, you're saying how much do you charge? Like maybe like they met like Venmo you something.
We could talk. Let's talk, Snowy.
But this isn't like the 1930s where you had to meet up in person, like under a bridge or something.
Yeah, something shady to hand it off. Oh man, I love
it. That's cool though. That's a flattering question though.
Flattering question, yeah. If you're actually being serious, I mean, we could chat offline. The tricky part is I am in so many my own leagues. Like I only have so much bandwidth. I wouldn't want to be doing you a disservice. What I would love to do, and this is what I've been talking about potentially implementing, I'm just going to go to the draft board view as well.
We are picking 6.
6. Yeah, 6 overall.
How do you like that as a pick?
I do like the 6 pick. I mean, the deal is there's like a clear top 5 and it kind of cuts off, but I really like Eckler, who falls outside the top 5 pretty much.
Yeah, Scott Barrett, not as big of an Eckler fan.
No, and I don't really understand why. I'm a huge fan. I seem to convince him to bump him up at least a couple spots, which I was very proud of myself. It was a great podcast, though. Top 20.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Barrett, you got to listen to. We were just talking about control of teams. So one thing I would love to do this year is set up like a Calendly or something where people can like sign up for just quick little hit time slots. You're 20 minutes here. Let's look at your roster. Figure out what waiver wire guys you should prioritize, how much to bid. Because that's really what fantasy is like customizable advice. We can do these shows and talk about the guys we love, and it helps out the mass of people. But what's really helpful is is that one-on-one, like what is your exact team and need? So
Right.
I do want to figure out some way of doing that without then also having to be in charge of logging in, making the pickups, doing
time
that.
slots is a good idea, like for custom
it'd be
advice.
fun, right? And it'd be just a cool way to like meet more people, chat more advice. So Snowy Mountain Farms, that's more like something I would be interested in, is like figuring out like quote unquote consulting sessions. I don't know exactly what you would call it, but that's something I would 100% be interested in. So that's cool. All right, we got 6 coming up here. McCaffrey fell to 4. I've been seeing him go number 1 overall.
Cook goes 5th, which is who I was very interested in. But
so we typically Chase doesn't fall out of the top 5, but I also just love Austin Eckler. So who are you interested in?
Between those two, I would rather have Eckler.
And I mean, who's else is on your mind? Like Derrick Henry?
Well, I mean, Cook was definitely who I was interested in. Alvin Kamara, I don't know how long he's been lasting.
He'll probably be there in round 2.
Kelsey.
He used to fall to round 3, so it's still taking a little bit for his ADP to catch up. There was a time, you know how I told you I've racked up a bunch of these drafts.
Yes, I've heard. Yes.
The reason why was there was like a quick week or two where Kamara was just falling to round 3 because everyone was nervous about.
And then you were like slamming the power button.
Exactly, because I had been reading there's a decent chance it gets pushed back and doesn't even get heard this year, in which case you get him for the full year. And even in that time, you could get Mark Ingram in the last round, and he's about 70% Kamara when he's out. So it's like a stopgap, something you can fill that flex void with if you have him as your running back 3. I mean, I was going like Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, and then Alvin Kamara. It's like, thank you. If those guys stay healthy, and especially if I don't get Kamara suspended, those teams are going to be monsters. So that's why I was hammering it. He goes round.
I love the notion of just hitting it really hard. It's like buying a bunch of stock when it's low.
Yeah.
And so you were just like, I got to get in before the Kamara value sells.
Right?
It's exactly that's kind of been one of the premises of this website.
That's the premise of the site, right? Roto Street Journal stocks going up and down. Yeah. So I mean, he's been somebody. That's kind of what it's like, is buying these players at their low if you think you could see it shooting up. And Kamara was an easy case, right? When it's a talent that good in a better situation than he was in last year, no brainer. As long as he doesn't get suspended, and even if he does it, that's the floor, and you have Ingram to pair with it. I love him. And speaking of him, we could probably consider him right here. If those of you listening to the podcast, Roto Fantasy Fullback Dive, we didn't even start at the top. What you're watching right now, if you're new to the stream, you probably, if you're watching us, know what Underdog is, but this is Underdog Best Ball Drafts. The way it works is we draft our team, and they will automatically calculate our highest scoring lineup for you. So it's really just the best part of fantasy. We all know drafting is the best. I
know there's always a tiny bit of a come down right after the draft. You're excited, you've got your team, but you're like, now I'm not looking forward to the draft.
Not drafting anymore. Right. Exactly.
I mean, I'm looking forward to my draft,
Always. You always look forward to the draft. And the season's always great, of course. Why would we do it not? But it's also filled with pain and mistakes and errors just excruciating decisions. Alrighty. So Kamara's still there. I think he's the no-brainer. As much as I like Fournette, and I've come around on Fournette. I do like
you don't like Fournette as much as Kamara.
No. I mean, obviously, if Kamara got suspended, I'd probably flip those. But I still
it's looking like that might not happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So you love the Eckler Kamara start.
I love that start. But yeah, so Underdog, they calculate your lineup, as you can see here. You'll start 1 QB each week. 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a flex, and a tight end. So up to 3 running backs, up to 4 receivers any given week. So typically you see 8 receivers go. If you're watching now, you're probably not a newbie. So I'm not going to go over the ideal roster constructions and stuff like that. We've already talked about that on other shows. If you have those questions, by all means, let me know. But I don't want to bore people with that. Great start though. Eckler, Kamara, huge fan of running back. Is that how you've been attacking your draft so far?
Well, I've been mostly doing auctions, and so you never know who's going to get nominated when or anything like that. So sometimes that is a little random, but I have been pretty much always going with at least 2 horses. Yeah, running backs. I've been getting a lot of Cook, Kamara, Cook, Aaron Jones. Yeah, somebody.
I think that's absolutely. We'll do an auction show in the future where we can really sit down, look at here's a perfect budget. Here's what I would be going for. We can pull up Jackson, some of the best auction tools you'll ever find up there. I'm just going to scroll up.
Yeah, we should do that show maybe next week.
Yes, I know Seamus is doing an auction for the first time, so we could always have.
Maybe we should have Seamus on.
We really could. So I'll just keep this the last round to go. But yeah, Underdog. If you end up wanting to use it, we've never done this on any of the shows we've done till the last minute where it's already over.
Right.
If you want to use Underdog and you haven't already signed up, code RSJ does get you $100 deposit match.
I mean, it's up in the corner. Anybody watching can
for
see
free of these drafts. And here we go. It's our pick.
Who do we like here?
Keenan Allen just went.
I mean, we always end up taking Josh Allen here.
I like these three. We got 17 seconds.
I was gonna say I like
Pitts,
James. I like
Pittman,
Connor. I like Connor. I love Pitts, and I like Josh
Pitts.
Allen.
I like Pitts.
All right.
Because tight end, like, I mean, that could be an absolute monster of a tight end, like going in round 1 for the future type of guy. So yeah, I love Kyle Pitts. I mean, Mariota's his QB. I tweeted it out one time, got great traction too. Kyle Pitts, when Delaney Walker was playing with Mariota, tight end 3, tight end 5, tight end 4 was like top 3 in targets. And that was like, so he loves the tight end position. And Delaney Walker was no disrespect to him, one of the great, tight ends of that era, but he's not Kyle Pitts, who's been getting compared to Megatron and so I'm not worried about Mariota. We know Arthur Smith, tight end, former tight end coach, had Mariota while he was there. So I like the connection a lot. I have no issue with it. And, I've been doing a lot of Dalton Schultz in these, like round 6, 7 Dalton Schultz. I do like that as well. But Pitts is that truly if somebody was a cheat code at tight end and went after Kelsey or Andrews, it would definitely be him, right?
Yeah. And I mean, if we're going up, obviously Josh Allen's upside, great as well. But Pitts is really shooting for the ceiling. You know what I mean? You got your Kelseys, you got your, there's Kittle and Waller slightly below, but Mark Andrews is now up in that elite group too.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Pitts is kind of the most tantalizing of the 3.
So tantalizing. Again, the touchdown luck was bad last year. I think that flips in a big way. You're telling me this monster with great body control and great hands can't be a monster in the red zone, please.
You got to hear Allen Robinson, Gabe Davis, of course. Everybody
that's
knows
the top
that we're
2.
Total whores for those guys.
I know. We've been absolute whores for them all offseason. I wouldn't be shocked to see them both go, unfortunately. So we have to have a backup plan. There goes one of them. I don't even know who
Deontay Johnson. I really like.
I don't hate.
Yeah, so Deontay Johnson in the mock
he's going to go.
I've been doing lately.
He has Josh Allen too.
He's one of the players that has always gone for a little less than the projection is.
Deontay,
yeah. People are not.
He's not sexy. Nobody's going to truly. Gabe Davis made it to us, making the decision.
Well, obviously, we're taking Gabe Davis.
Yeah, of course, yeah. There's no question there. I that's
love the Eckler, Kamara, Gabe Davis, Kyle Pitts. Force him to start the show.
What a great, I absolutely love this start. And I think a good, discussion point is the fact that I love Gabe Davis, maybe not quite on the level of Pittman, but I don't think it's a big drop off like him, Allen Robinson. I have them projecting just as well as Pittman, as Sutton, Mike Williams, like that range. So to me, if one of those guys is going to be available in round 4, and we got close. I mean, if Gabe Davis went there, I think it's a pretty big drop off, at least in terms of sex appeal at wide receiver. But
baseball's all about the sex appeal.
Kyle Pitts, you already know you're getting dropped off. When we take him, we at least are giving ourselves the chance to maybe get one of those receiver, high-end receiver 2s. But if there are one, because we have a stacked backfield in Pitts,
yes,
I'm good with this.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we sure do.
This could be the one.
Truth will be retiring at this time next year. That's for damn sure.
That would be
love to see it.
That'd be so great.
Why don't we get a couple questions while we're getting here? Looks like we got a good amount of people here, and we want to keep this more of the Q&A type of thing.
Yeah, you're right.
That thumbs up button. Let's interact with you guys. Of course, Truth, I know you had a discussion point you wanted to
No, it's okay. Jordan said, would you rather have Deontay Johnson and Aaron Jones or T. Higgins and Elijah Mitchell, full PPR redraft league?
First one, absolutely.
I like Deontay and Aaron Jones better.
Yeah, I think Aaron Jones over Mitchell is a 4-tier gap. I mean, Aaron Jones might catch 100 balls this year. I would him and the gap between him and Mitchell is far greater than the gap between Deontay and T. Higgins. I don't think that gap is nearly as wide. I like T, but I think Deontay will be about 85 to 90% of him, whereas I think Aaron Jones will blow Mitchell out of the water.
So I love T. Higgins. I've found his price tag to be too much.
I agree.
At the auctions that I've been doing. I mean, they got him projected at 38. And, it's so weird. They throw out what this projection, this is what he's worth. And it's so interesting how people usually rely on it. You know what I mean? It's
which I
don't want to go more than that. But to me, it's just how bad do I want this guy? But anyway, T. Higgins is 38. And I mean, I've never seen him go lower than 31, 32. And I just think that's too much, even though, I love him.
I will address that in exactly one
we could get
second. We got to
Mahomes.
make our pick.
You could get Pat Mahomes if you want.
I don't want Mahomes. I like Dobbins, St. Brown, or Thomas. I like waiting on QB.
I'm seduced by Thomas.
All right, let's do it.
Yep, you wait on QB. You and me have taken Josh Allen in the 3rd round like several times.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Let's do something different because you can still get Dak and Brady round like 8, 9. I've seen Stafford fall to round 10. Like, if you miss on,
we're going to be able to get a good quarterback or two. I do think we should take 2 quarterbacks, however.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, so we haven't always done that.
Yeah,
I think we should take 2 because
absolutely. I really like going like Brady Dak. But so what you were saying about the auction, I loved all the points you're bringing up. I think T. Higgins is definitely overpriced if he's going for 38. And you were saying earlier, like you got Allen Robinson for 11, like
13. I paid once, and 11. I paid once.
I have Allen Robinson projected like as equal or even honestly more points than T. Higgins this year. So if you're going to give me 25 more bucks, like that's a whole nother receiver or two that you gave Davis. You said 11, like no.
Make my Mike Thomas 9.
Yeah, I mean, come on. So you're telling me you could get
I got those guys for $30.
Yeah, so just about the same price as T. Higgins for those 3 receivers.
Right, and like Jamar Chase went for like 70. So I mean, exactly. Like literally paid like 2x and then some. Yes. What I paid for that threesome right there. And then I got some other like, serious home run ball threats too.
Yes. So
I just don't believe in it. I mean, you got to do it at running back, right?
Yes.
Although I've found Taylor, McCaffrey, I've found them to be a little bit too high for my taste as well. Because I feel like I can get some other guys. Yeah. There's a big drop off. Like the difference between like Jonathan Taylor's price and Dalvin Cook's price is like $18.
Yeah.
And that's a ton of money.
I mean, that's an Allen Robinson. Like, would you rather? I mean, that is a fair question. Like Allen Robinson, Dalvin Cook, or Jonathan Taylor. I mean, it's actually not
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
And nothing. I mean,
yeah, but you're assuming you're getting something for $1.
Right. And so that's another big takeaway.
Like Ayuk's going for $1. You said,
yeah, he did. That's another huge takeaway.
We'll do a whole auction show. I don't even mean to cut it off, but just because who knows in our audience how many people are auctioned. So if we just start, I could talk auction all night. So if you are auction, let us know your questions. We'd love to, but I just don't want to like alienate, we're doing a snake draft talking about auction. You know what I mean? So
well, it's big.
It's great points though. And I think like people think of the draft so different, but it's the same idea. Like round 4 receivers, I think are one of the best areas if you're drafting in snakes, like to get a receiver. And they're also a great spot to tap into the auctions. It's our pick here. I love Drake London. I love Adam Thielen at these prices. And I'd love to go a 3rd receiver. I was hoping St. Brown might fall. He went a few picks before us.
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, don't sleep on him for best.
Yeah, but those 6 games, I like him as my
6 games hurts.
All right,
I'm not saying with this pick.
Thielen or London?
Let's go Thielen.
Yeah.
We need this team to be a little less sexy.
Just a nice smooth 11 touchdowns. Hey, maybe Drake London will make it back to us too. Like here's where I wouldn't hate Hopkins, but I also love Ayuk. Like 6 games are 6 games. As great as he'll be down the stretch, where when you're playing these, obviously the stretch run is by far the most important. You're getting your, $2 million prize in week 17. So a lot of players will correlate for week 17. We can chat all that. Like we're not complete bozos when it comes to this. We know the big strategies. So by all means, just because we're baked doesn't mean we don't know how to talk about this.
Bulldog says, hey guys, 12 team PPR redraft, keep 2. Mixon at 3rd, Javonte Williams at 5th, Akers at 8th. Was thinking the former 2, but starting to think Williams and Akers now. Thanks. Then he said, in a follow-up, he said regular format. Yeah,
I mean, that's a real tough one because the order of the talent is obviously like how you wrote them, Mixon, Williams, Akers. I really want to see how Akers is developing. I want to see him out there in the preseason because obviously last time we saw him, he didn't look great. If he looks great, like it's going to be real tough to pass on that type of workload and that great of an offense for a guy that was looking like the next great young running back. So
neither one of us likes Javante's situation, really.
No, but in the 5th, I'm okay with that. He's going, early round, mid round to late round 2. So you're getting some good value. Mixon's definitely the safest though. You're getting your work.
Yeah. Mixon at 3rd is great.
I kind of like Mixon Akers as of right now, but if Akers isn't looking good, I mean, I do love Javonte. Like he is such a talented player. So that's a really good one. That's a really tough keeper question. Gun to my head right now, I would say Mixon Akers, but as long as you have some time to wait and see what Akers looks like that would be good to kind of figure out too.
I would also agree with the Wolf on that, although.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Akers, what we saw last year was so bad. I mean, but at the same time, I'd probably make that pick too.
Yeah. And rushing yard, we saw you got your question in like as we're going live, so we will make sure to hit you in a sec. We just got to make our pick.
Sorry, bud. I skipped you rushing yard.
Yeah, the weed starts to settle in.
Let's see.
Shit, I think our guy Ayuk went.
Kadarius Toney, are you interested in that?
I actually don't hate Tony. I've been falling more into him, but I also like Renfro. You're
got
call.
8 seconds. 8 seconds.
Who do you think?
Let's go, Tony. I'm going to zig where you thought I was going to.
Yeah, and as we click impossible hamstring injury, nice.
I know. Kadarius Toney, career over.
I've been seeing Renfro make it back in round 8 sometimes though, so maybe he'll slip by. Tons of experts love Tony. I thought you were going to say Giants. No way. I don't want to touch him.
You said you wanted to do something different.
But no, I have a ton of Renfro already, so I like this. It gives us a potential edge, even though we did start so sexy. I
don't want to be so predictable. I went with the Giant. Rushing yard said, would you rather have Mike Williams or Darnell Mooney? What do you think?
Is that he has something at the beginning too, right? What did this say?
That's the one from the beginning.
Yeah,
then he just posted another.
Awesome. I thank you for the kind words. I'm happy to help you win.
You were saying something nice.
Yeah, thank you for saying something nice. We appreciate it for the shout out. And then there's a bunch of questions that we got to get to, but we'll go back to that one.
No, I'm going out of order. We've gotten to a lot of them.
I would prefer Mike Williams. I mean, they're both big play guys. One does Darnell Mooney have probably a more guaranteed weekly target share, but I mean, the blow up potential of Mike Williams every single week is like 35, 40 points. Very few people have that, particularly in best ball formats, like where you don't, the lows of Mike Williams can be pretty damn frustrating. I know you had him last year, Truth.
But the highs were so exhilarating. It ended with the lows, so that's kind of what I've remembered.
Leaves a bad taste, yeah.
It left a bad taste.
But then even like in week 18, I know it doesn't count for fantasy owners, but remember he had that huge game to almost propel them into the playoffs. Like
I do. How infuriating is that?
I know.
Seeing that.
Yeah, one of his blowups came when it didn't matter.
Game.
Exactly.
That didn't count.
100%. So yeah, maybe Renfro makes it back, which would be
great. Who would you rather have? So you would rather have Williams?
Yeah, Williams, especially in best ball where I don't have to worry about those big blowups and those lows because again it calculates it for you. But even not, I mean, what if something happens to Keenan Allen going on his age like 32 season? What if something happens? What if he just overtakes him?
To me, it's Williams is clearly the answer. Like I would.
What do you think about Dak versus Brady? I'll say we take a quarterback here.
Brady.
Yeah, Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas.
All righty. We don't have any weapons, so it's not like we're stacking. Obviously, you typically want to stack, but hey, we didn't have either stacking options there. So yeah, I like him a lot there. I'll queue up a few people, but yeah, I go Mike Williams. I mean,
me too.
What do you want? A bigger, like similar, probably total targets. Do you want him coming from Justin Herbert or Justin Fields? Hey, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Rushing yard also asks, says, I'm doing 14-man full PPR. What round's best to take a quarterback? For my league, usually the top 5 quarterbacks are taken fast. Ooh.
Yeah, 14's tougher too because it does thin out faster. I'm in one 14-team league, and it does thin out fast. So I'll just pull this back up so you guys can see this. Man, that's tough. It's a good question. Especially where like a Josh Allen suddenly matters even more because like by 14 it really gets thinner. I never go in with like a locked in. I have to have a quarterback by now, but I would say you play by tiers or you play by auction prices. It's like I would want somebody by Kirk Cousins. Like he's my QB like 12, 13. If I don't have them, like I'm not comfortable dropping to Justin Fields. Like I like Matt Ryan, love him as a 2 with some floor to balance out like a Trey Lance or something, but I don't want him as my number 1. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that like, if they're flying, I don't typically like to take a quarterback before round 6, 7, but if all the quarterbacks are gone and it's about to be a teardrop, maybe you have to adjust and take one in like 6 or 5 or whatever. You just, every league is different in that sense. That's why rankings and tiers are, rankings can only get you so far. You want to see where things are dropping off, how the draft's going to flow, how your competition plays, all that good stuff.
It is, and it's true. It's a question that's impossible to really answer, to give a definitive like, wait till this round, because every draft, snake draft or auction I've ever been in, it's fluid. You come in with a plan and stuff, but things change. You don't know when there's going to be a rush of somebody, or all of a sudden prices of people are way more than you thought or way less than you thought, and you adjust accordingly. Hopefully, well.
Exactly. But no, it's a great thing to think of. It's a more of a philosophical discussion in that sense. Like, I'm not going to limit a round on it, but I would like to have them by a tier. Like, now that Stafford's gone, this would be a good point. Like I would, if I didn't have a quarterback yet, love Carr and, Cousins? I might have to reach for him just because I don't want to be left without one of those guys.
You just don't want to get left like holding the bag with somebody you just like don't feel good about.
I want to go a running back. I think Ramondre over.
Ramondre, I think, as far as upside's probably our guy, right?
Yeah, especially because Zach Moss. I have a ton of Singletary in these early drafts. I do still like him, but Moss is involved at the goal line. They're saying he's the first man through on goal line drills. So that just makes that whole backfield
it's no good, man.
Could be at some point if there's an injury or somebody, if like Singletary runs away with it. But when does he ever run away with anything? He kind of just became the guy due to injury last year and complete ineffectiveness from Moss. I don't.
Unless Singletary plods away with it.
Yeah, I mean James Cook is really the guy I could see like actually taking it over by midseason. He's got the receiving work probably on lock anyways, and
yeah, he got snapped up.
What? Yeah. Oh yeah, he went like the pick before us. I like Ramondre there. I mean, he's been typically going over Damian Harris, which I don't necessarily agree with, but he could have. They're calling him maybe the big James White. Like Ty Montgomery's now getting involved, which is gross. But
that is gross
at that price. I mean, if and when Ramondre gets starts, like I was at the Cleveland Browns game, he had like 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. The guy can definitely have his spike week, so I like him there. I think that's a good pick.
Michael Schneider says, I got first pick out of my 10-team full PPR league. I plan on drafting JT first. Who would you suggest to look at second, third round? So we're looking at the picks 2021 in a 10-team league.
I'd say Kamara.
I know I didn't want to seem boring, but I was like, Kamara might be a good spot. One of those.
He often will fall to like 24. I've seen it even. So like we took him at 19, but I've gotten him with like a Jonathan Taylor, like Kamara start. I also like some, looking at like Leonard Fournette, as gross as it kind of seems, 80% of the touches in a Brady offense is worthwhile. You never know if like Aaron Jones or Mixon, who I would definitely prefer. I would say you want probably 2 running backs, and then
he's got JT Kamara.
JT Kamara, and then maybe if Evans or like one of those receivers goes.
I was thinking Evans. Might be good there
what do you think about getting either Carr or Cousins here? I do like Dameon Pierce, Rashad White, and Isaiah Spiller. I just want one. Everybody in front of us has a QB. Except 2 people don't have QBs, so I bet these guys are all gone.
I would take Cousins. I prefer Carr to Cousins.
We have Thielen though, so I kind of want to stack it.
All right,
we'll stack that one up. I heard a stat too.
All right, but in a vacuum, I just want to say for the record, I prefer Carr to Cousins.
I have them neck and neck. I think I have Cousins 11 and Carr 12. They're both great options. So I just wanted to get one, and I like stacking the weapon we had if it push comes to shove, And I heard something like Thielen just destroys the Packers, who they face in week 17 if we're going to win this whole thing. Like he averages over like a touchdown and a half a game against the Packers.
It does seem like he scores every single time he plays them.
Every single time. Like his game log against them is insane. So just another little like, okay, maybe Cousins throws 2 to Thielen, who we have here already. That could be awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're neck and neck for me too. But yeah, good question so far, guys. Keep them coming in. Do we have any others, Truth? I see Mitch has been.
We're caught up.
He said something about the biggest bust. Are you missing like a whole set of questions?
What are you talking about?
Who do you project to be the biggest bust at QB, wide receiver, and running back?
Did these come in like at the very beginning of the show?
Yeah, you got to scroll to the top. Find these.
Those are all the way up top. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Mitch, I know. I was going to say too, by the way, we haven't missed you as well, Mitch. It's been a while since we've seen you at the show. What's he saying there? I'm just pulling.
He said, been missing you guys. I actually already read this question in the comments. I thought we'd already done it, but we hadn't. Been missing you guys. Hope all is well for redraft PPR leagues. What 3 players, if any, are you making sure to have on your team if possible? Let's say 12-team PPR. Well, the guys we've been just championing.
There you go.
Yes.
He got there.
It took me 4 tries, but I did get it.
Gabe Davis, A-Rob, one of those 2 receivers. If somehow I can get them both. Somebody's been like the ADP on Fantasy Pro says they're like round 5 guys, which is like round 5 to 6. Blows my mind. All right, let's get I'll get back to that one.
All right.
All 3 of the running backs we liked are still there. Do you want to go Rashad White? Because you might
kind of do want to go Rashad White. Yes.
Dameon Pierce has the best path to volume, but we don't necessarily need his volume right now. We just kind of need upside. I like White because you stack it with Brady.
Yeah, I'd take him.
All right, sweet. Me too. Rashad White is a guy I love. Not like must have every draft, but I really do like him, Mitch. Kamara is kind of becoming that. I know we've said his name a million times, but round 2 Kamara to me, if he gets suspended, obviously that hurts. But as of right now, it's not looking likely with the hearing move. The worst would be like if he gets suspended mid-year and he's like out for your playoffs. That would fucking really be a kick to the balls. So I guess there is a little risk with him. Let's see. I mean, I really love Kirk Cousins at his price. I've left a lot of drafts with him. To me, it's like this range of receivers. Like I can't limit them to 3. I just know I like going running backs early because I love like the receivers we built here. Davis, Thomas in this round, like Thielen. I do like Tony. Like Cooks is going in that range, which is great. Ayuk, who we love. Renfro, who's going to catch 100 balls. Like I just like the receivers in this range.
Yeah.
So,
well, another question related to that. Mike Schneider says, who's the one guy you won't leave a draft without this year? So Mitch basically wanted to know 3.
Yeah.
Mike just wants to know 1. Who's your top guy? Who would you say is the guy that you prize more than anyone that you have a realistic chance of getting? Obviously, if it's Jonathan Taylor, you're only getting him if you pick 1 or something. Like
right.
That.
Yeah. So that's we have to kind of look to the later rounds because again, like Kyle Pitts, I love in round 3, but you're kind of stuck in your draft spot just a little bit at least.
Right. But there's guys you always get, right? Just
yeah. The thing with this, and this was something I wanted to mention when you brought up Tony, is like most experts really have recommended, as if you like treat it like a stock market, you do want to diversify a little bit. You don't want to go all in on just one player every time because if something gets hurt or it just doesn't pan out, it sinks all your lineups. So if you're doing a ton of these things, it makes sense to diversify.
Right, but if you're getting them in like round 16, you care a lot less about throwing pick away, you know?
Exactly.
If you're taking them for $1 in your auction league every time, like you're not getting hurt by that.
A guy in that range, exactly. I don't mind having higher exposures to these later guys. Isaiah McKenzie, I've been taking everywhere. The number 3 for the Bills, the slot receiver, a role that Beasley averaged over 100 targets a year, 77 catches a year. I could see him doing a whole lot more with that work. So I'm very into Isaiah McKenzie, who I kind of want to queue up right now. That's one guy. I mean, I want to say Dubs because of all the hype he's been getting, but it usually comes down to him or McKenzie, and I go McKenzie myself. I've gotten a ton of Osborne though too. You opposed to me going Osborne to stack him up with Kirk Cousins?
No, if we're in for Cousins, we may as well throw some stacks in there. You know, if he's in our locker room already, let's give him some weapons.
So I heard a stat about, or actually didn't hear it. I dug this one up. Whenever Osborne sees 6+ targets, he scored a touchdown in 7 of those 8 games, or 6 of 8. He scored 14 or more fantasy points in 7 of 8. Like anytime he's been used, and yes, it's often because Thielen was out or there was an injury. But now they're saying he's like locked in third receiver and an offense that's going to throw more often. I could see him getting some serious 6 target games becoming more regular for him. He's a great player, and he's kind of like the receiver with the handcuff with benefits of receiver. Good number 3, Josh Palmer comes to mind with that too. Like number 3 in a great offense, Palmer maybe even more so. But then if something happens to the 2 guys in front of him, now you're catching passes in a high volume role, like from a decent quarterback. Palmer's definitely the better example because now you think of that's like, Herbert and the Chargers versus Cousins, the Vikings there. But yeah, I mean, I do have a lot of Osborne, but I'd say McKenzie. And on that note, it's 150. We'd be reaching for him here, but
but you're not getting him on the way back, man.
He's not getting him. Exactly.
You got to get him.
The fallback plan is the guy that just went, KJ Hamler, huge fan. A guy that I don't have a lot of that I think I need to start changing that is George Pickens. Just dominating Packers camp in every sense of the word. And I don't really like Claypool, so he could just as early as this year be the number 1. And then Deontay's always had his issue, little things pop up. If he ever missed some time, there was a player, I forget, one of the Steelers guys, I don't want to sound like I'm overhyping, but he's reminding me of
Take McKenzie. Take McKenzie.
You think McKenzie over Pickens?
Yes.
Okay. We'll do it.
I do. I love the guy.
I love McKenzie. Yeah. I mean, anytime he's been given the role, he's performed. So big fan of him.
Rushing Yard asks, what positions should I take for rounds 2 through 5? I mean, again, it's different every time, but you definitely want to secure up some high-end running backs, and you're going to definitely have taken at least a high-end receiver by the 5th round.
Yeah, my typical goal, and I have my draft guides actually coming out, should be out tomorrow. I just finished updating the projections for it today. Finished the write-ups. So we're going to be launching that tomorrow. I just got to figure out how to get the payment forms and everything all finalized on the website. But I go round by round and tell you, like,
yeah, that's true.
First I tell you like what I kind of want to do with each round, what the philosophy is and why. Like, I want to target 3 running backs in my first 4 picks because I see a tier drop off here. So I explain all that, and that is what I'm not making something up to make you have to go buy the guy. That's what I like to do. I want 3 in my first 4. I know you've been getting a lot of Zeke in your auctions, like he's falling around 4. I love him there. Like, he hasn't seen less than 300 touches in any year other than we got suspended 6 games. And he still saw 280 there. He's in the Cowboys offense. Like, so I like having 3 good running backs in my first 4 picks. And then just because I like all those receivers that we've been talking about in round 5, Amon-Ra, Michael Thomas. I like Adam Thielen. I like Drake London. I like Ayuk. Round 4 receivers, obviously the Gabe Davis and Allen Robinson show we keep hyping up. So, that's why I kind of I often will go running back. James Conner in round 3. I find myself
James Conner is sometimes there. Yeah, that's I love that pick also.
So,
rushing yard appreciates the answers.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the great questions. Keep them coming, guys. That's why we like this type of show to balance out the more analytical or very news heavy. We can get you all your questions and chat some free flow and stuff.
Yeah. Sober Thoughts says, "What's up, guys? Not much. Good to hear from you."
Sober Thoughts.
Yeah. Mitch Chavez says, "I've been busy coaching, boys and girls tennis coach as well. I'm a professional teaching coach for a private. I'm assuming he means teaching tennis for a private club where I reside now. Football is back, so let's go. Good job, Mitch."
That's awesome. Congrats on the coaching role. It's our pick, I think, right? So we got to make this pick first. But coaching, you've been a coach, Truth. I've been a coach.
I have been a coach. I love it.
What are your thoughts on locking up Everett for our tight end 2 here? We're kind of behind.
Of the guys I can see on this list, that's who I would take.
Yeah, let's queue up some things from there. Campbell often injured, but yeah, we'll talk about coaching in one second. I love that. Mitch is a coach. I'm sure he's great. He's such a good guy. That's what you want for your coach is like just a good, genuine role model. So I do like, Gerald Everett a lot here, but I'll queue up. I guess we don't necessarily need too many tight ends here. We could always get a third, but yeah, you were a coach for a while, Truth.
Yeah. I mean, I coached girls basketball for a really long time and it was awesome.
Over where you worked. Yeah. It's the best. I was JV lacrosse. So I'm at North Andover. It's a great role. It's like, you see the kids 5 years down the road and they're just like, still you're they still call you coach and it's just the best. Like,
I still,
you can joke with them a little bit more. Obviously I love teaching too, but like that's a whole different relationship. One thing I do want to catch our attention to, just like analytical wise, that we'll have to talk about on our show, Truth, is, Benjamin has like genuinely surpassed Darrell Williams. It sounds like for the number 2 role, which really sucks. Cause like, I'm still skeptical. Like, we've seen Williams perform at a low-end RB1 number when he gets volume. We haven't seen Benjamin do shit. He's getting the hype from the coaches. It's just something that, like, they seem to really want him to succeed, so they're going to give him the opportunity ahead of Williams, it seems. Whether he runs with it or whether Williams makes himself, like, indispensable and I have to take this job, we'll find out in the preseason because it's such a valuable role either way. Whoever it ends up being, the backup to Connor in that offense is going to be – they're going to start some games. They're going to be low-end to high range, mid-range RB1s in the games they start. But yeah, that's, I have so much Darrell Williams in these drafts that I hope it ends up working out to him. But I do kind of want to balance that out with a little bit of Benjamin throughout the rest of these too. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know how I went thinking about them too. Mike says, who are the guys you always avoid at the top of the draft? Oh wait, it's our pick. We'll get back to you, Mike.
We will get back to that. Isaiah Pacheco going. I mean, talk about a hype train. I like both.
It is a hype train.
Colts receivers. I mean, he could be a great hype train too. I'm not even opposed to him. I like both the Colts guys. I like Kendrick Bourne. There's not much else I really like out here.
No, me either. Although
which of the Colts guys? Campbell, Pierce.
I mean, Campbell is injured a lot, like you said, but I feel like maybe his upside is higher.
Let's go. They're both good plus athletes. Campbell's dealing with something already, right? He returns to a limited practice.
Oh, okay.
But, they already have Pierce running with the ones. We've seen the Campbell song and dance, like always tantalizes you with his 4.31 speed. And I'm saying this kind of, I have him in a lot of these drafts. So I do like Campbell, but how many times have we fallen for it? Like, we haven't ever been truly all in, but he's always tantalizing in practice. And by week 3, he's out. Like, that's where Alec Pierce, who knows what he's going to end up being, but I could see him having a real prominent role in this Matt Ryan-led attack. I just like the Colts in general. Like, I think real life football, they're going to be a real tough beat in the AFC. but also in fantasy football. I think they're going to operate at a much faster pace. When they had Andrew Luck, I think we talked about this, they were at the number one pace in the league. And I know Matt Ryan's not Andrew Luck, but they're saying that like command of the offense, the ability to get up and just go, and like Reich can just hand the keys over and let him rip. Like that, Reich's saying we haven't had this since Andrew Luck. It feels so good to have a QB like this again, type of thing. So all that's a long-winded way to saying, like, I like their pieces. I want the ones that are going to last there. Pierce is an athletic freak that I really could see by mid-year being like a real big difference maker.
Rushing Yard says, so I heard Kamara's suspension may fall back all the way until next season. Could he be playing most of the season now? Is Alvin worth a first or second, maybe even a third if he falls? Yeah, we were talking about this earlier about how we feel about Kamara. I would say certainly worth a third if he falls.
Yeah.
And I would say worth almost anywhere in the second too. And I don't know, would you take him with a late first round pick, Wolf? It would depend, I guess, who came off the board.
It depends. Yeah, it really depends who's there. But I'm not opposed to it. Like a Mixon and Alvin Kamara start. Like,
that's good.
I'm okay with it. I have him ranked ahead of Aaron Jones, who I would also consider right there in that range. So yeah, I'm not opposed to it, particularly if we get any concrete, like he's definitely not going to be suspended. It certainly carries more risk, but if he does play the full season, I mean, he's going to be well worth that. His
upside is
great,
crazy. His upside is
it's high. He was the RB4 in fantasy last year when Jameis Winston was playing on a shitty team. Like they were bad.
Yeah.
Marquez Callaway was the next best option. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all to have Michael Thomas and the new rookie Olave and Jarvis. Like this offense should move. And that's going to be great for Kamara, who's been the most efficient player in fantasy for years. So I do want to get a stake into this backfield for the Cardinals, but
yeah, let's mix it up. Let's go.
I think we go one of these receivers, Bourne or Fuller. We either hope like Fuller lands with the Cowboys, or we go Bourne, who we know has some blow up upside already. What are your thoughts?
I would definitely prefer Bourne to Fuller.
Bourne to Fuller? Okay, let's do it. I like Bourne a lot.
I mean, Fuller will have 2 great games. Maybe.
Yeah, and I think that wraps up, receiver for us. We have 8 that I really feel solid about. We need some running back depth here. So, I'd say we finish this draft off with 2 running backs, one of the Cardinals guys, maybe even both of them, just to have the whole thing. Well, there goes Daryl. So
McKinnon too. Don't forget McKinnon.
Yeah, I like McKinnon, even though Pacheco's been making waves. I still like Mostert. Like, I know he's an often injured one, but he knows the Mike McDaniel scheme. He came over with him. The dude does have the 2 fastest ball carrier speeds of the last 4 years. It's like him and Tyreek Hill are tied with the top 2 of the top 4. So, I mean, there's upside to – we've seen Mostert just rip off like 80 yards on the one touch. Like, so those are a couple of running backs I don't hate late.
Mitch Chavez says, I appreciate that, Wolf. Thank you. I took a few boys to state this last spring. Hope to take some girls this fall. I got rewarded with Coach of the Year, which was a great surprise.
Mitch,
love it all. Congratulations, Mitch.
Hell yeah. Nothing better than that. And you know why? It's because you're just a likable guy that people are going to want to play hard for. Like, it's crazy how far just being like a good human being will go in anywhere in life, but including coaching. Like, if your players want to play for you, I'm not saying you have to be a softy that player coach. You know the deal. Truth, as long as your players like love each other and love you, that's the type of thing you foster. It's going to be special. So that's awesome.
Well, my kids always liked me. I won a couple Coach of the Years coaching high school basketball, and which was a real surprise because although the players in the league liked me, the other coaches did not really care for me that much. Mm-hmm. So I was a little bit surprised to get that.
Who cares what the other coaches think,
Well, they were the ones who voted on it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, interesting.
That's why I was surprised.
So I've queued up some of the running backs I like. Do you say we lock down Eno and just get ourselves like a piece of that backfield?
Yeah, I think that's the obvious next pick.
Okay. And if he goes, we can consider McKinnon or McKissick will have his spike weeks too. I mean, Gus Edwards is falling out of drafts now, and I know he's probably not going to play the first couple weeks, but like by mid-season, he'll be the number 2 and the run heaviest offense in the league. So I don't hate Gus Edwards at all.
I don't hate him, but I don't love him.
No, you're not too into him.
No, I'm really not. I mean, all right. So here's Rushing Yard says, "What team do I stay away from most on running backs?"
Oh yeah, we had the early round.
He said the top 3 teams. So I interpret that question as meaning what are the 3 grossest running back situations?
Is it just purely running back, he's saying?
Yeah, he's saying specifically running backs. So, I mean, what are the worst committee situations, would you say, in the NFL?
I'm not touching the Raiders. Like, Josh Jacobs has been solid the last couple of years, but we know what McDaniels does. It's disgusting committees. So, not getting a ton of them. I don't love, honestly, like.
Mitch says he would stay away from the Chiefs.
Like, I was just going to say, it sounds so weird to say the Chiefs. The only reason I don't mind them is, like, you can get the Chiefs guys for pretty cheap. Pacheco, McKinnon. I don't like Hilaire. So there's very few backfields where I'm like, I'm crossing that off completely. There are a few running backs. Like, I don't draft Sanders at all. I like Gainwell.
He told us not to.
Like, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Miles, for the tip. Won't do it.
Even Clyde, by the way, is like a $5 auction price.
Right. Like, there goes McKinnon. Too bad. That is cheap for Clyde, but even then, I don't want him.
No, so, I haven't been taking him at 5.
There's very few teams that'll just be like, I'm not investing in this. There's just like players, like I guess at Sanders, I don't like at all, but I will take Gainwell. The Pats are a tricky situation, but if either Ramondre or Harris falls, they both have big touchdown upside. Like, I don't love, the Falcons, but if Patterson falls enough, like, he's going to catch some balls. So there's really no team.
Oh, if Patterson's there with our last pick, I'd probably take him.
Yeah. Oh, the last pick, of course. He goes like 120 or so.
Oh, I thought you said he was left.
No. I'm saying for like teams that I just don't typically love.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. So there's no team. The Seahawks even, like, I think they're going to be a horrendous team. And so they're going to have some pretty bad weeks as an entire offense, never mind the backfield. But even then, like, Penny's been hugely efficient these last few years. I think Walker's a nice talent. So, like, it's tough. There's really no backfields that I'm like, I will not touch them because there's usually a piece at a price that I do like.
Omar F says Miami and the Commanders come to mind.
I love Chase Edmonds at his price. Round 8 to 9, Chase Edmonds. He's going to catch like 60 balls. So, and I like stabs at Mostert in the last couple rounds. So, honestly, like, those are gross situations, but I still will take stabs in fantasy because there's some talented, interesting schemes. If 1 or 2 people go down or they just demand the volume because they end up performing so well. All right, so a lot of our guys have gone. We have to make our last pick. I don't hate McKissick because he does have – I mean, he had 36% of his games the last 2 years have been top 12, which is kind of crazy. Like a third of the time.
Omar is literally warning us about the Commanders, and we're about to snap up J.D. McKissick. It's our last pick.
Who else is out?
It's our last pick. Like, maybe Ingram, but I mean,
maybe Kenyon Drake isn't horrible. Like Ingram, you mentioned, like maybe we do that just to balance out. I like a stab at McKissick though. Like,
okay, do it.
He has very usable games.
Omar's going to be able to say, "Hey, man,
I told you." But he was the running back 15 and running back 30 the last couple of years. Like this late, he's going to catch some balls, and the offense should be better than what it's been the last couple of years, and he's had a pretty good role in it. So, yeah, as a last round stab, like he's somebody that will be in our lineup at least a couple weeks. Whereas like Danny Gray, like he's having a good training camp, but who knows if he'll ever even touch their lineup? Never mind, like
Omar says, so you think Gaskin, Michelle, and Ahmed go away?
I think Gaskin, yes. I think.
And then Rushing Yard says Gaskin is still there.
Yeah, but Gaskin's just complete and utter trash. Let me pull the draft back up because
Gaskin does seem like he's been there forever.
I noticed, by the way, you can name your teams. So I've started to name my teams after every draft. Like Hearts is like great squad top to bottom. So that's probably one I really like. Russell.
What are you going to call this? Do you like this team?
I like this team a lot. This will be one I do like. This team is fucking sexy as hell, though, the one I just pulled up. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to name it in a sec. Let's view the full draft.
All right, yeah, we'll name it.
We'll keep answering questions.
If this show ever gets like super popular, we can let the audience name our team that we draft.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Actually, that'd be great. Yeah, so that's a great question, Omar. Like, I don't think Ahmed's shit. Like that, he won't be anything. One of those guys is going to get cut. First of all, probably Gaskin at this point, because Ahmed at least plays special teams. I don't think all 3 of those guys last. I think one of them might come back in midseason if like Mostert has his usual tweak. But ultimately, I like Edmonds' upside. They're saying he's separated as the clear lead back. He's going to catch a bunch of passes. And he's good. He's better in zone schemes than he's been in power schemes, according to PFF grades. So I think this is the perfect scheme. He talked about, I signed here because they use me so much. Like the guy wants to be used, and every time he gets used, he's one of the most efficient guys. So I like him a lot. Mostert is a last round stab. I think Michel's not even a horrible pick because those guys could both go down at some point. And Michel's plodding-esque, but we saw last year he was the top 5 running back for those last 6 weeks of the year because he got volume and he just knows what to do with it. So it's a crowded mess, but they're all cheap enough that I don't mind taking stabs on like 2 of them. Am I nuts, Truth? Is it?
No, you're not nuts. And you know something else? The more I look at this draft that we just did, I really like it.
It's great. This might be my favorite one we've done.
I really like it.
Yeah, like we'll do a review of it. I know there was a question earlier too about, well, why don't we just start? Because it was like, who do you not like in the early rounds? Is that right? What the question was?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if we go right up to,
why don't we look at them? We have the top 2 rounds here. So I'm either, if I'm not going running back, so like there's 10 out of 12 of my first round picks would probably be running backs. I guess 9 out of 12 because you can work in Jamar Chase. Travis Kelce can sneak in there. So for the most part, I want a horse. The exceptions I'll make are Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp. I would flip them. I would have Cooper Kupp before Jefferson, but I love them both. And Jamar Chase does have just insane upside. I think he goes a little too early as like the locked in number 5.
Yeah, he and Higgins are both a little bit overpriced.
Yeah, like they're both great players. They both. Jamar Chase certainly a top 2-3 receiver, maybe the best, certainly a dynasty wise. Higgins might be a top 10 guy himself, just as like raw talent, but that is 2 guys that will eventually nibble each other's cheese. Brandon Cooks had more top 24 weeks than either of them. Of course, Jamar Chase, it's like you're not there for the top 24, you're there for the 55 points and he wins you everything.
You're there for like the 3-4 games a year when you just completely orgasm like
everywhere
for the entire second half.
Exactly. That one game against the Chiefs, that was in fantasy championships. Like that's why you're there. But I think both those guys are a little overpriced, even though I'm really excited for the Bengals this year. Very improved offensive line. Like I think Burrow's going to have a great year. I think that's just not a bold call to say the Bengals are going to be really good, but I think they might hit the gas pedal a little more because they're just that much more in control, a lot more no huddle, hand it over to your quarterback, let him kind of do his thing a bit more. I think that's going to happen. So I do even like those guys. I would say the guys I end up with the least would be Devontae Adams. He goes first round and the best player in the league at the position right now. Yes. But you're now contending with Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. Is he the number 1 there? Yeah. Like I'm not going to argue that, but that's certainly far more mouths than what he was dealing with when he had Aaron Rodgers, who is, I think, also a significant upgrade to Derek Carr. I like Carr. It's not a devastating, knock, but I'd rather have Adams in round 2, and he just typically goes round 1 ahead of, like, I'm not taking Adams over the horse, Henry.
I'm not picking Devontae Adams in the first round.
No, not over Najee Harris, not over Kelce. Like, I'll take the tight end targets. So even Mixon, I probably would rather have. Like, I would flip these 2. So I like this guy's start because, I would love to have – I would probably take Mixon at 9, and then if Adams there at 16, yeah, all day. But in terms of first round, like you're with me there. He's the kind of guy that falls out for you.
Probably. I mean, Adams' auction price is like mid-50s too. I mean,
yeah,
like
give me
$54. Like, no,
I'd run back. Like, especially if Robinson's going to go for 11. Like, you're not going to get if you can get Robinson Cook for $66, you pay 55 for Adams. What running back you're getting for $11? Like, fucking, like
maybe Mike
maybe
Singletary
Stevenson?
or Miles Sanders is he's probably like an $11 running back.
No fucking way. No. So Adams is the one. I even kind of like CeeDee Lamb more than Adams. I know Adams is certainly far more accomplished, but like CeeDee Lamb's going to probably see 160 targets in that offense. Like, I just think the target share is going to be a little bit higher for some of these other guys if I want receiver. And I honestly don't even really want receiver. I want running backs. I want the horses.
Toon says one and done or doing another draft. I gotta go after this one too.
You gotta go running.
Well, yeah, I don't have another draft in me. Although I had a really good time doing this one.
It's always a blast. No, I know. I mean, I wouldn't even be opposed to firing another one up if people wanted it. If people are hanging around, I'll do a fucking another one. I'd hate to not be with you, Truth, but
I could do one. No, I could do one later tonight if you wanted. Omar says, "Okay, cool. Just took Edmonds as my running back 4 in my startup team. I was nervous, but you're giving me some confidence."
Yeah, nice. He's young too in a startup. Like, he's still got his best days probably ahead of him. So I like that a lot. The one other early round, like Williams is the toughest thing for me because I think he's maybe the top 5 talent at running back. Love the player. I think he's really going to ascend. And it would be kind of like the argument that we had against Taylor last year, which clearly didn't work well. But like he's in a committee and, usually this early you don't want a committee back. And then, of course, Taylor blew that out of the water and was not in the committee much longer. Hines had a small role. If that's what ends up happening and it ends up being a 70-30 split, like Javonte would potentially launch into the top 5. But for now, Melvin Gordon had more he outscored Javonte in 10 of their 16 weeks together. Yep. He's not going to go away. It's going to be like a 55-45. And to me, that's one, I'll go with the later running back there. So I'd say Adams and Williams, and certainly Nick Chubb. I want nothing to do with Nick Chubb if Deshaun Watson's not there. He's kind of the easiest fade for me. As good, another one, again, as a pure runner, top 3, but not involved in the passing game, better in wins and losses. I think they're going to be a significantly worse team because of Jacoby Brissett. You never want a piece of a Jacoby Brissett offense.
Those are the two that jump off the page to me, Javonte and Nick Chubb. But also, if I'm being honest, if I look up at the top of round 2, I'm not taking DeAndre Swift over a bunch of those backs.
Yeah.
That went after him.
I'm with you, Truth. I honestly haven't landed Swift in maybe 1 or 2 just for the sake of should probably have him because again, another guy that could blow up. Yes. But he's been constantly dinged up through Swift over Mixon. Come on. I'm going Mixon. I'm going Jones. I'm going
Kamara.
I would go all 4 of these running backs over Swift myself.
What about Lenny Fournette? Maybe even.
You'd consider it. You could really consider it. I think there's a little more upside to the talent of Swift. Swift's got all the efficiency metrics, like points per touch, all that good stuff. That often will be the precursor to a true breakout. He's got a narrative. I'm not sitting here trying to act like he's not some high upside guy.
He's great, but I'm not a believer. I'm just even talking about it makes me realize it's just I have him ranked in my mind below almost all those guys.
He's the type of guy I would nominate early in an auction because
I was just going to say the same thing to see somebody else blow $53 on him.
Exactly. Let me get Mixon for a few bucks cheaper after he goes because somebody's always going to beat on him, and it could be for good reason. He has top 5. I keep saying that. How many times you say top 5 upside for this guy? But that's why all these guys do it. Oftentimes, what it comes down to in the first couple rounds is all these guys are going to be good if they stay healthy. So it ends up being which one do you get 14 or 15 games out of? Swift doesn't seem like that's the best bet right there. I'd rather have Mixon. I'd rather have Aaron Jones. All 4 of these guys. Barkley, I can't make the injury argument and then preach for Barkley, but
I didn't say Barkley on purpose, but I think I'd probably rather have him. No, I don't. God, I don't know. That's a tough one. Anyway, hey, Axis got a trade offer. He gets Aaron Jones, Pittman, and Knox. I received Donovan Peoples-Jones, Mac, Pitts, and Brandon Cooks. Should I accept?
Truth, can we do this real quick? Can we just break down our team because it does get a little congested on the screen?
Okay.
Why don't we break down the draft really quick? How we kind of just review our team real quick, grade it out, then we X out because it just looks cleaner. I promise we're going to get to that question. We'll get to all the questions. We're not ignoring them, but I kind of just want to make the layout a little cleaner and just kind of review what we did real quick. So if I don't even know if we turn this into a podcast or not because it's kind of better as a video anyways.
Oh, this is video, not podcast.
Yeah, it's video. Okay. Eckler, Kamara, Kyle Pitts. Love the start again. To anybody that wasn't here for the Pitts pick, I think he could get you the numbers that all these receivers are getting you, but it's obviously coming from your tight end position. The Michael Pittmans, the Suttons, those guys are obviously great. I like them, especially when Pitts is gone, but I think Pitts will give you those numbers just from a much rarer production valve, I guess. I don't know exactly what word I'm going for. I also think the drop off to Allen Robinson, Gabe Davis isn't that steep. I really like those guys. And, you're taking a dice roll to hope one of those two come because I really didn't like the rest of these. I actually kind of do like Chris Godwin, but you don't know how many games he's going to miss to start the year. But he's the one guy in this round 4 or 5 range that could easily be up there, as could Michael Thomas, who we took
Deontay Johnson too. Deontay Johnson, I would put in that category too.
I like Deontay too. He's already dealing with hip stuff, and George Pickens is really showing out. And
his quarterback's not that great.
Quarterback's going to suck, and it sucked last year. I do like Deontay. He's in that range. I think he might be a tier below Gabe and A-Rob. He projects really well though for me. So, but yeah, he's in that tier. I think he's a good name to shout out.
He goes for more money in the auctions. I can tell you that.
Jerry Jeudy's one of those ones too. That's with Russell Wilson, could he be?
I'm not interested in Jerry Jeudy.
I'm not a Jeudy guy either. I'm not a DJ Moore guy. There's certain guys that I'm just not, they're not my guys and they're not my guys. Even though you can always create the narrative for them. But yeah, we went Mike Thomas, all the reports glowing here. So we got running back, tight end, and then 4 straight receivers. I really like whether you have 3 running backs or what we did here with Pitts, or maybe you let a receiver sneak in there in round 3 if those guys are gone, or Josh Allen if you really want that edge. But I just love this 4 through 7, just hammering 4 receivers. I really like them. We went with Davis, Thomas, Thielen, and Tony. Renfro was in the discussion for us, like Drake London, Ayuk, Hopkins, all in that discussion for us as well. So yeah, I love that start. That's the first 7, Truth. Do you have like any kind of commentary on what you think of the first, like the foundation we built in that first 7?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, I really do. And then picking Tom Brady with our 8th pick.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There's a lineup right there.
That's your lineup, right? And then peppering the upside, Stevenson and White, like beautiful upside. If anything happens to the starters in front of them, probably
Kirk Cousins, competent backup.
Huge. I have him projected for 5,000 passing yards this year. I mean, he's sick, and that gave us a stack. We didn't really have much of a stack with Brady. He was just kind of like, who's a guy that could throw 5,000 yards in round 8? Tom Brady will. He'll throw it 700 times. I mean, if Julio, I don't know where I stand on Julio. I'd love your take on it, because at first I was like, he's older. They have so many mouths. But then there's like T.O. was 33 and still went 1,110. And like, I think it was Brady McFarland who I had on the show actually on Tuesday. He kind of tweeted out like where Julio's on the all-time yardage list and the players ahead of him. There's only like 6 at this point, and what they did at their age 33 season. And like some of them were averaging 20 fantasy points per game. And now that Gage got hurt today, and like who knows how slow Godwin's going to develop. Couldn't you see Julio having just a crazy at least start to the year with Brady? Or no? Am I just nuts?
So, I mean, the reason that it's not nuts, I mean, you're not nuts. I don't expect him to have a huge season. But the only thing that gives me pause is that you're talking about a connection and 2 great players. I mean, Julio at his best was really great. I mean, he was like the best receiver in the NFL for maybe at least a year or 2, right?
Yes.
I mean, he was great. And Brady obviously can kind of make a star out of just about anybody, right? And I mean, you know, you're dealing with like world-class talent on both sides, and there are a lot of mouths to feed. So I mean, I'll bet he's better than the haters think he's going to be, and I'll bet he's not as good as the people that are like, oh, Julio Jones is going to have 12 touchdowns this year, you know?
Yeah.
So it's obviously, I know that's a total hedge, but that's how I feel about it.
Thanks for giving us a complete non-take, Truth.
Well, I don't think he's going to absolutely blow up. I don't think he's going to be just like rock bottom floor either, but I don't think he's going to like be blowing anyone away fantasy wise.
I think what it's going to come down to for me is what is Gage's injury? He got hurt today. There's no concrete news there. If that's something that's going to keep Gage out for a significant portion of the beginning season, like, and you give Julio time to just kind of become the clear 2 while Godwin's out. So Evans and Julio, now he's like the 2 for Brady. And then, you know, even when Godwin's back, if Gage is missing some time, still needs the 3. If he's the 4, it's like him and Gage are constantly nibbling each other's cheese, and I don't think he's worth this 116. But if you take Gage out of the equation for at least a handful of weeks, and then him and Brady just really get cooking together, I mean, look what he did with Antonio Brown, who, of course, Brown's really talented, but like, who knows if Julio's not? He got hurt early last year. Like, it's tough to kind of judge him on what happened last year.
How old was Antonio Brown last year?
He's a couple years younger than Julio. I think
he's like, not as old as Julio.
He's not, but it's not that far of a, gap.
There is a point that unless performance enhancing drugs, HGH, stuff like that is involved, there is a point that you kind of fall off a cliff. And it's different for everyone. I mean, obviously Tom Brady's found a way to play years and years past that. But in a sport like this, when you do start to get around that age as like a wide receiver or something, the vast, vast majority of players come way down to earth. Yeah. They really do.
It could be. And outliers, of course, happen with the freaks. And Julio could be the freak. Like, it could be. But yeah, we spent way too much time for a guy that we haven't even drafted.
We've been seeing him play like a couple years now and been underwhelming, though. Like, I mean, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
Can he stay healthy? I mean, it is a thing. At a certain age, like, your body does just – football is such a ridiculously physical – I can't imagine going out there ever, especially against those guys, of course, but even like playing flag football right now. Like, I don't know if I could even handle that physically. So like, yeah, I mean, it certainly makes sense. So from here, we're loading up the bench with upside, and I love them all. White, if something happens to Fournette, probably a league winner, already getting a lot of reps, even with Fournette, there. KJ, the thing is, like, does Brady trust the rookie? Part of that was stacking it. Like this range, I do love, like Pierce, Spiller, White. Like, if I can get any of them in this round 11 range, I feel great. Like those are the home run running backs. Maybe only one of them hits, but like one of them is going to probably hit. It might take an injury for the White and Spiller. It will take an injury, certainly for Spiller. Eckler's there. Spiller's just the caddy. Pierce could start from day one, so like that's kind of you balance your needs. We didn't need a starter, and we wanted to balance Brady. I like that. Henderson's another one that I'm kind of liking where he's going too, because if Akers comes around slow, like Henderson was pretty damn good last year as a starter. So I don't know. McKenzie, you were hammering the table for him.
Yeah,
I like it. And then we just kind of loaded up those receivers: Alec Pierce, Kendrick Bourne, just like taking the shots. KJ Osborne, guys that could just blow up for 18 to 20 any given week. I really like that. We got a little bit of stake into that Cardinals backfield. I think that's like the newest news. This would have been Darrell Williams probably a round earlier, maybe even 2 rounds earlier, a week ago for me. Like I was taking Darrell Williams everywhere. Now it makes sense to balance it out with if this hype ends up being real. I still, you're a Darrell guy, I'm a Darrell guy. Like I think when the pads are the pads are on, but game time, like when it comes time for a man to run over like the other men on the other side, we've seen Darrell do that like really, really well. We have yet to see do it. Maybe he's ready. We'll see it this week. Like if he's out there and he's zipping around, we'll know all this hard work and all the good, positive, glowing reports are there. If in a vacuum you're giving me one or the other, I still think it's going to end up being Darrell. What's your thought on it?
I'm completely biased on this. I'm completely team Darrell, and it's not because I know for a fact that he's better than Eno Benjamin, but he has played for me. He's played for me recently, and he has produced a lot. So based on that analysis, I think it's going to be him, but I don't have any good reason for thinking that. I
mean, Eno Benjamin's in his 3rd year. He hasn't been a thing yet. He either had the off season of all off seasons, and that happens, but Darrell's a good player, and Pat Mahomes vouched for him to go. Like he called Cliff Kingsbury. Was like, "You want this guy?" It's too bad they didn't get him back because he was great there. But I think push comes to shove, he's going to be the one that wins it out. But we'll see. Every beat writer so far said Eno had the most impressive offseason, so you got to factor it in. When I already have like 30% Darrell, I'm going to try to balance that out and at least get like maybe not 50-50, but I got to hedge that a little bit. I need some outs.
Sure.
And then McKissick, we wrapped it up with a guy that, again, he's been top 12 in a third of his game the last 2 years. Like he'll be in our lineup probably 4 times this year for a last round pick. You can't do much better than that, I don't think. I look at this last round. I don't see, like I would have liked McKinnon there too, but I don't know. I like this team. This is, I'd say, a solid B+ to A-.
Yeah, I would lean more towards A-. I like the team.
We went Tony, and I've heard some of the smartest guys out there love this guy, and that's part of why I did it. I'm not 100% sold on him. Like Renfro, we would have known we're getting 100 catches there. Tony's the bigger swing, though.
That was a zag pick for me. I was trying to just go all sexy upside.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do in a tournament like this. Like I would have preferred if Ayuk fell. He sometimes does, not really anymore. I would have preferred if Lazard might have even fallen. You used to be able to get Michael Thomas here, which is just going to look silly.
I know.
I wish I had been hammering him harder than I was in the early drafts, but you live and you learn.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Life has mysteries.
You want to answer some of these questions now?
Let's do it. Let me remove this. Hey, people stayed around for our grading.
Yeah, we got a few people left.
Hey, if you're still here, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're new to the show, give it a like. And we'll keep going.
Yeah. So anyway, Axis says, I just got a trade offer. He gets Aaron Jones, Pittman, and Knox. I get Donovan Peoples-Jones, Mack, Pitts, and Brandon Cooks. Should I accept? I can tell you that I would rather have Aaron Jones, Pittman, and Knox. What do you think, Wolf?
Yeah, I want Aaron Jones, Pittman, and Knox. This one isn't too close. As much as unless it's dynasty wise, where like Pitts does have way more value because he could be just the next great Kelsey for 10 years. He didn't say I'm trying to find it now because I'm back on our screen. Where?
I think the main thing is I like Knox a lot more than Donovan Peoples-Jones and Mack.
Yeah. Aaron Jones is the best player in the deal. So I typically side on like, if I'm getting the side with the best player on the deal, I'm usually going to lean there one way or the other. I think he's the best player. I think Pittman and Pitts are close to a top, a coin flip. I prefer Pitts.
I prefer Pitts, but I agree it's close.
It's close enough. So then you're telling me, like, yeah, I like Knox more than Peoples-Jones or Marlon Mack. Like Cooks is probably the fourth best player of the deal, but you're getting the one, maybe two, like 2A, 2B. Give me that side all day. Yeah, like I'm all in on the Aaron Jones side.
I agree. Omar also would keep Jones and Pittman.
Yeah.
Mitch says, does Edmonds lose a good share of the receptions that he had when he was in Arizona? Will Waddle or Hill fill the Debo role more for Miami? I don't see Hill staying healthy long if he does. And he also says that he would pick Pittman and Jones.
Nice. So we got a couple. I love when the Wolfpack helps each other out. It's always great to see you guys in the comments. That's the best part is when you guys answer the questions while you're waiting for us. Like, that's great. Building the community. Love to see it. I would say, I think exactly what you bring up here. I don't think Hill holds up like Debo. Debo's thicker. Debo's stronger. Debo's more of a runner. Dwayne was talking about this yesterday too. I don't think you had time to listen to the full pod yet.
I did.
Like as a full-time rusher, like Debo's rushing grade is like number 1 in PFF for like anybody. Like he's an insane running back if you wanted to play the position. Like he's crazy. Tyreek Hill obviously is jittery and fast and game changing as they come, but he can't do it what Debo does up the gut. Like, so I don't see that. I don't think Waddle's necessarily that either. They're both going to be great yak, like get in their hands and let them do their thing, but they're not going to be too often, I think, taking carries out of the backfield. I could see him getting lined up there and like running a wheel and like McDaniel's getting kind of creative in that sense, but it's not going to be like Debo getting a carry at the 10-yard line. That's not going to happen.
No.
So I think Edmonds, kind of plays that type of role. I think Edmonds is going to catch a ton of balls. He talked about in practice how he's being heavily involved as a receiver. That's why he loves being there. So as long as Edmonds is healthy, he does have injury risk, and that's part of why I don't love him. But I've been taking him. He's been that guy. Like where we took Ramondre, he's often there, and I'll take him there all day.
Toon says, fair enough, Truth, but I'm down for another. So
yeah,
Toons would probably hang around if you did another.
If enough people, if we get 5 people that say they'll continue to watch another one, I'll hammer one right away after you have to sign off. I say we answer the mailbag, and then if 5 different people are like, yeah, I'll stick around and watch it, I'll do it.
Love that. Rushing yard, is Rondale Moore worth anything? Cliff wants him to get more action.
I like Rondale Moore. Yeah, I do.
You do like Rondale Moore.
I do. I mean, at that range, 120 to 140 range, it's at least those first 6 weeks, it's going to be a pretty wide open target share. You'd have, obviously Marquise Brown is now there. Zach Ertz got peppered while he was there, but like all Cliff Kingsbury's done is hype up Rondale Moore all offseason. Is it a coaching tactic to try to get like a guy out of his own head? Maybe, but when he got the ball, he had some glimpses of like, this guy could be a real explosive threat. Kingsbury alluded to Deebo Samuel in a way. He's small. He would never get those up the carry guts, but as a move around guy, he's saying, Christian Kirk being gone, Morehouse is a full-time slot role now. And like, he's an explosive guy to come out of the slot. In addition to one term I've kind of learned this offseason, we've talked about a few times now, Truth, that I think is going to forever be in my like lexicon is the layup targets, where just like the Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Cooper Kupp, like you just give it to them and let them do their thing. Justin Jefferson's going to get a shitload more of those now. Rondale Moore is kind of a layup target guy. Like you're just going to kind of give it to him and hope he does some good damage on screens, on quick hits, and just kind of rack up like 7, 8 catches quickly. I think he's certainly further away than like Ama or, Michael Thomas, classic layup target guy. Like he's not going to get that volume with a Hopkins and Marquise Brown stuff, but he's a talent that's going to, in a good offense that could come into like 5 layup targets a game. And if he breaks one every now and again, he'll have some spike weeks. I don't know. That's a long rant on Rondale. What's your thoughts?
I'm less enthusiastic about him than you. What
do you not like?
I don't love the fit, man. Like I especially once Hopkins is back in the mix. I don't know. I see the talent, I guess, but he doesn't like blow me off the page. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've just never been too excited about him. And I haven't seen much to make me get excited about him, even though I know you like him.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't love him. I'm like in his range. I'm pulling up my big board. So I do have him higher than ECR on the big board, but like he'll go around where we went like Rashad White. Give me the running back. He'll go around Isaiah Spiller. He'll go around like Dameon Pierce. I'll go those guys all the time. I even prefer maybe Jahan Dotson, like the rookie for Washington over him. I certainly prefer Sky Moore if he's got, like going in that range. So I don't actually land more as like at his price tag. I don't have a ton of him, but when he falls, like I've seen him fall by like 10 picks and he's like there at 130. I like it. I like scooping him up on those type of.
Maybe that's more how I feel about him. It's just like there's a lot of guys I like more.
Yeah.
And so it's just I don't really think of it as like an option that he's going to end up on my team. There's too many other guys I would take over him. Michael Schneider says new report says Pats could entertain a Damian Harris trade.
Well, our Ramondre Stevenson pick would then become like he would be going in round 3 or 4.
Pick of the
like,
oh, man. Yeah, of course.
So I guess that's another like potential out for Ramondre Stevenson. I love how if you listen to Dwayne, he keeps referring to things as like outs for a player at their profile, like because he plays a lot of poker. He has that mindset, and I like that when you think about a fantasy player, like a pass catching guy that is always going to be in there, has a lot of outs. In a game script that gets negative, he's going to be in there, but he's also there as an early down guy, which Edmonds is going to be. That's another out. Like he can get his points in a lot of different ways. Is another way to think of outs or like upside scenarios. Kareem Hunt's another one. Positive game scripts, like even in negative situations, but maybe he gets traded and his ceiling goes up. So like Harris and Stevenson kind of fit that bill as like a lot of outs any given week, any given situation. I mean, that would just skyrocket Ramondre. I'd probably consider him around 2 or 3 guy, wouldn't you? It's still the Pats, so it's like
I'd say more late 3rd or 4th than 2 or 3.
We are dealing with the Pats, so I guess I'm getting a little over anxious.
You're getting excited.
The one game I went to when Harris didn't play, Ramondre had 203 touchdowns. So I guess that's kind of like lasered into my mind here.
Right. It's like we all associate. It's like a Pavlovian thing. Like you hear him now. You're like, no, I think he's really good too. Look, I'm saying I think he would probably be a 3rd round draft pick. Right now he's like 9th or something.
I know. There's talk about him taking the James White role too. So another out for Ramondre. I'm loving the Ramondre pick more and more that we made. Like I'm
telling you, I think this team is not a B+ team. I think it's A- at worst. Like we got like 9 great picks to start this.
It's got an A ceiling, that's for sure. That's what you want in these things when you're going against 400,000 people trying to win 2 million. Truth, what if we win this thing one day? Like that would be the real start of the franchise. I know you've been hammering away for 5 years, but like
that would sure be great.
Oh, that would be so fucking.
Bulldog says ETR is high on DJ Moore this year. Any thoughts? And then Snowy Mountain Farm says, is ETR high on ETN?
Yeah. So ETR is established the run. I don't know if you know they are Truth. It's Evan Silva and Adam Levitin, 2 of my favorite analysts out there.
I know who both of they are.
Yeah. They kind of started their own thing.
Cool.
Like a year or 2 ago, and I think they're one of the best. Like I love this is not a advertising with them or anything. Their podcast is amazing. It's one of the very few I listen to. Them, Fantasy Points, and then PFF, the 2 guys I had on yesterday, are really the only guys I have time to like actually learn from because we're just producing so much content ourselves. That being said, like I'll always have a couple disagreements. That's why I'm hoping to get Silva back on the Wolf's Den. I've had him on 2 years in a row. Would love to have him in again. I'm not in on DJ Moore. I love ETR, so like it's definitely good people to have in his corner if you like him. He's just not my guy. Like he's had 5 touchdowns. He's never had more than 5 touchdowns. Baker's an upgrade, but I don't think Baker's that good. DJ Moore's one of those guys that's just like everybody's always wanted to be so good because he's like was the number 1 dynasty prospect for so long, and he does have those flashes of being elite. But if it hasn't happened yet, like typically you just don't need the quarterback to like at this much, like, and the quarterback's just not that much better in my opinion either. So I don't know. You're not a DJ Moore guy either, are you?
No, I'm completely out on him. I mean, again, there's a place I would take anybody, and there's a price at an auction I would pay for anybody.
Yeah.
But for his price and where he's going in drafts, I will not own any DJ Moore.
No, exactly. He goes over Allen Robinson and Gabe Davis, and I'd much rather have either one.
Far ahead of them.
Yeah, exactly. He goes with like Pittman and Kyle Pitts. Like, give me Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts will outscore DJ Moore this year, and you'll get it from your tight end.
His auction price is like $37.
Come on,
I'm serious. No. And people in these mock auctions I've been doing have been paying it, or at least close to it.
There you go. First person I'm going to nominate. We got to start jotting down some of these names. Truth. Who were some of the ones we said already?
Well, again, I hate to disagree with anything ETR says because they are so smart. But yeah, I'm never getting this guy.
No, he's an early nomination. There's another guy we were talking about, an early nomination, like around Nick Chubb will certainly be one.
We said we're never getting Devontae Adams at his price.
No, we didn't. But there's a running back we wanted to set like the running back 2 market. Who are we talking about?
Chubb and Javonte Williams.
Yeah, Javante's another one.
And I said DeAndre Swift.
That's the one. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, because he's sexy. Like he'll go.
I mean, he's like going pick 14, stuff like that.
These are all good names to jot down. Text. I'll pull up one, but will you text me DJ Moore?
Yeah,
and the other dude we just fucking said.
I got it. I'll take care of it.
You got it. ETR is high on ETN. I will say this though, you can't just like sit here and be like, who's ETR high on? Like go tune into their show, talk to them, like, pay for their draft kit. Like I'm not going to give people like a workaround and not buy their product. It's great. I buy their draft kit every year. I fucking love it. You can ask me some questions about their ranking, sure, but like this, they are high on him. They're smart. I like ETN, but they like him more than me. Levitin talks a lot about his favorite profile back being guys that can catch passes, be involved at all facets of the game. It's kind of what Dwayne was talking about when you have a lot of outs for a player. ETN has a lot of outs to why he could hit, but he also has a lot of outs to why he might not hit too. So I'm not very high on ETN relative to his price as well. I like the receivers in that range that we keep talking about, Allen Robinson and Gabe Davis. Like I like that profile just a lot more. He goes at the same price as like James Conner. I'll prefer James Conner myself.
All right. I can go till 8:30, Wolf, so I can go about 5 more minutes.
It's okay. Yeah. Take off when you
Rushing Yard says, I've been looking at Sky Moore to do good this year. Thoughts about Sky with Tyreek Hill leaving and adding decent receivers?
Sky Moore with Tyreek Hill. I do like Sky Moore a lot. I don't know. He's certainly not Tyreek. Like he doesn't have that explosiveness, but he's getting moved around all over the place. He's making good plays. And the big knock on him is that he dominated his college competition because they were, too small. Like he was D1 AA, but you can only play against what you're dealt. And like he did what he was supposed to do. He dominated them. So I'm not too. I think he's going to flash big in the preseason. His price is going to continue to go up. I really like Sky Moore. Yeah.
Cool. Mitch says, I'm excited about him. They've been throwing him into wildcat options and screens as well during practice lately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mitch says, all right, rushing yard. They're talking Chiefs here. I wonder how Kelsey will do now that he's the star of the team, except Mahomes. Mitch says, same out of the receivers so far. Juju seems to be the guy that's been looking good so far. Wonder if that makes him worth a stab in some of these things. Kelsey, yeah. I trust, though, and should still be the god he is. Go Zeus.
Yeah. Zeus. Remember that time I flipped out because his nickname was Zeus, and then he ended up shoving it right up me.
Yes, he shoved it right up.
It was that year he broke out. Zeus.
You were so mad. It was that dating show he was doing.
Yes, yeah.
Remember he dunked on a girl, and you had a Kelsey you had a Kelsey voice.
Whoa, Zeus.
You had a Kelsey voice for 3 years, and now it's like he's
gone.
He's too good, and you just can't. I haven't heard you do it in a really long time.
No, it's tough to come at him at these points. The thing is, too, one thing I am very intrigued to see this year is he is going to be the clear-cut, number one, and that's either going to be unbelievably beautiful. He already has been, the leading target guy for however many years since Mahomes took over, but I'm talking attention, and that means also on the defensive side of things. So are they going to bring in number one corners to shadow this guy? Is he going to be able to handle complete double teams every time? And Mahomes is good enough that even with MVS there, you can only double so much. Even though MVS is kind of shit, he can still get down the field. So I think he'll be fine, but it is something to consider. If he gets the game plan of all game plans and you can start to take him out, they might find a formula to take Kelsey out. Yep. Is all I'm worried about. Which you couldn't do when there's also Tyreek Hill there. As for Juju, he's one of the guys I don't have a lot of that I'm pretty nervous about not having a lot of right now. And I want to correct it. I do want to get more of Juju.
I've bid on him in my auctions, and I've never come away with him. Someone else always valued him a little bit more. And it's one of those things where his starting price is $6 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And, I would go in and then it would get up around 11, something like that. And, I would back off because I had other guys I liked. But he's a great example of somebody where it's don't believe the projected price. Think about how valuable is this guy going to be? And I questioned myself going in. I was like, maybe this guy ends up being the number one wide receiver on the Chiefs. Maybe he catches 10 touchdowns. I don't know.
He's been the one making real plays every single day, moving him all over the place. he's not Tyreek, completely different players, but it wasn't long ago. Juju was like the guy you had to get in Dynasty, like the 22-year-old breakout for the Steelers, capable of shouldering the whole passing attack. And like, it's been a couple of years since we've seen that, but I feel like Juju has that, like, the stupid expression everyone keeps saying, has the dog, but like,
I think he's good.
He's got that like baller kind of player. And I've seen comparisons all the way up to like, he's going to be the Cooper Kupp this year because of the quarterback upgrade. And like, he's not on that level of player. And I just don't think he'll get that level of volume, but low end wide receiver 1, I'm starting to come around to it. And I hadn't been treating him that way. And so I don't have a lot of him. And he's a guy I'll probably be going out of my way to getting a few more of these at this point. But it's also like he goes at Allen Robinson too. So it's like,
yeah.
Am I really jumping off Allen Robinson, who I've been all in on for him? Probably not.
No, but it's like we look at it as like, what's more important? What's better? The, number 2 Matt Stafford guy or the number 1 Pat Mahomes guy? And it's like, I also would go Robinson definitely, but we could be wrong. I mean, Juju could be a gold mine this year. Mark says, I'm up in 2 picks. So we're reading this long past when he did this, but we might as well answer it anyway.
Yeah, he's probably not still here, but if you are, we
can. No, but it's a conversation piece, and then there's like one more comment, and then I'm going to take off. He's like, I'm up in 2 picks. I have Cooper Kupp and Fournette to start. Should I take T. Higgins, Nick Chubb, or A.J. Brown? Definitely not taking Nick Chubb.
Not Chubb.
Who do you like more, Higgins or Brown?
It had been Higgins for me all off season, and they're kind of starting to flip for me.
Me too.
Because, everybody loves good hype, and A.J. Brown's been the absolute star of Eagles camp. Like, Hurts has been lasered in, run after the catch opportunities, deep balls over people. I just love the player of A.J. Brown, and like, he's got the number 1 role, whereas T. Higgins is the clear number 2. And as much as I love T. Higgins as well, and I like that passing attack certainly more as a whole, I think that gap has closed for me, where A.J. Brown is just shown enough in camp, shown a good enough rapport. We've talked about the kids' birthday party narrative, going to each other's kids' birthdays. That's real brotherhood right there if you're going to go through a kid's birthday party for each other. So, I think I like A.J. Brown. It's flipped for me. I used to have Higgins higher.
Me too. This is just like we talked about a month ago, Mike Thomas would have been way less prominent on our best ball list. If this question had come a month ago, I would have definitely said T. Higgins, but I would say Brown now also, which surprises me a little bit. Spoon says, do you think we can get a best ball drunk draft? So sure, if there's a market for it, we could. I can't go at 7 if it's going to be a best ball drunk draft.
That would have to be like,
I can't be plastered at 7. I have kids.
I could.
If I come home, my wife comes home and I'm trashed, and I'm just like, I'm working up to the 7 o'clock best ball draft.
Yeah.
This is no, sweetie. This is for work.
This is business. Yeah. If it's bringing home like the big paycheck someday, then
right.
maybe
Sure.
we can.
Yeah, sure. Right. If I then got a check in the mail, like, she'd probably be okay with it. But,
exactly.
I'd be like, no. This money's coming down the line sometime.
This would be more so like if we ever like randomly both had our drafts the same night and got like drunk at our drafts and got home and we're like, we're both drunk. We're both doing nothing the rest of the night. Let's fire one up.
Let's do a 45-minute podcast where we like almost getting like a fight and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think we should. Like, we should maybe do one planned one like late. We'll be like on Friday night at midnight. We're gonna just get together and do a draft, and whatever we had done for the night before that like is what we've done.
Okay,
something like that. I think I would do it. It is funny because like I've watched a lot of the videos and they'll be like, the prime time to draft these things is like late on a Saturday night when all the drunk bros come out and they fall asleep and they don't make their picks. And like, I've definitely fallen asleep and not made my picks and been that guy. And I was laughing like literally on Monday. I showed
you come home, you're trashed. You're like, I'll get in a quick best ball draft.
Exactly. And I draft Josh Allen. I wake up with 4 other quarterbacks on my roster. I'm like, oh God, what have I done? Even last night I was laughing because I was, or Monday, I was visiting Alex at his place. He's his last week of summer before he goes back to camp. And so he was like, let's have some beers. I had just gotten back from Alaska and he wanted to watch Raw. We're just like, let's have some beers and watch Raw. I showed him the drafting thing. We ended up doing a ton of drafts. And by the end of it, I was like, yeah, this is the prime time. We're at 1 a.m. and like, it's when all the drunk people come in. I look next to me, there's like 8 empty beer cans. We had like already smoked like 2 joints. I'm like, we are those drunk idiots getting into these drafts. As I'm like, we're gonna go pick these guys apart. Like, no, that's us.
No, we're asleep. Toon says, I think Juju and Jackson Mahomes will be too focused on TikTok for him to do anything good.
Yeah. Right.
Although Mitch says, Toons, thankfully that won't be a thing. They, as in the Chiefs, made sure of that already.
Yeah, that better not be a thing. I hate Jackson. Is there anybody that's worse than like Jackson Mahomes?
Mike, I'll bet I could come up with somebody, but no one popped right into my mind. Which is a bad sign. That's a bad sign. Mike Les said, boys, we are back. Mad Money is fired up with the number one pick in my league. Let's have a season, boys. Hashtag Taylor gang. Hashtag Taylor. I just met her.
I guess I know who you're going with your first overall pick, Mike Les. Yeah. And I absolutely think it's the right call. I know there's been a big debate, CMC versus Jonathan Taylor, but after he's played only 10 games in 2 years, and he's burned me directly twice, I will not be going CMC. I'll be going the sturdy horse that, like, he's just been an absolute bell cow since college. He's the beast. I'm going Taylor. You're going Taylor too, right?
I am. Although, I am.
Although what? Are you considering CMC?
If I have the number one pick, I'm currently, I don't have the number one pick in any snake draft right now. So luckily this is not a decision I would have to make, but I will say that in auctions, I have at least put feelers out to try to get Taylor. And CMC, I haven't really been touching. So Taylor.
Yeah, we're going Taylor.
But I mean, the sex appeal of CMC is undeniable.
Oh yeah, of course. If he stays healthy, he's.
I remember during like the 3 games last year where he was cranking it out for me. It was just like I was absolutely unbeatable.
In the games he played over half the snaps, he was a top 5 running back in all 5 of them. Like he hadn't even scored touchdowns. I think he maybe scored 1 touchdown. That's what's the craziest
thing
part.
Is like, I mean, he doesn't even need to score to get you 24 or 25 points.
Which is nuts. I know. I mean, yes.
That's why I say although.
That's why we keep doing it. That's why I remember when we started doing these drafts, like in March, we're both like, we'll never go back to that asshole. But then you like think about it.
But then I see him on the auction block or on the board or whatever, and I'm just like it's how it goes. I'll at least maybe I could get a good deal on him. I don't know.
He doesn't play for us. If either one of us have him, he's going to get hurt. And if we don't have him, he's going to have 16 games. He's going to be the guy you need, and we're going to be screwed.
Right.
That's how he is. It's just one of those nemesises.
Well said.
We got to just accept our fate. Man. Always fun. Always,
that was fun.
We got football on tomorrow with the Pats, baby. We got preseason's back. We got some great things to talk about. So, we got to we'll try to link up for at least one of these a week. We'll obviously
we want to do an auction show.
Yeah, we got to do an auction show in the near future as well. But that was great. Good interaction, good questions, good comments. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up button. We did promote it once, but if you've never played on Underdog, it is truly my favorite platform. It's so fun to play. Code RSJ will also get you up to $100. That would be 4 free shots at the 2 milli for you right there if you want to get your match. They do have $5 tournaments as well, though. The puppy, it's a great way to get introduced, get your feet wet, and get used to it. We love them. So, I love doing the show, but I also love just drafts. I'll probably do more drafts tonight. I mean, truth, I know you said that maybe later. If you end up free for the draft later, let me know. I'll probably do one anyways. So
usually around 10 o'clock, if I'm available, I'll hit you up and we'll see if you see us.
Yeah, if you're not watching TV. Did you finish Blackbird yet, by the way?
No, I haven't even started yet.
It's good. It's good.
I'm hindered a little bit by what I'm watching with my wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to learn that pretty soon, bud. You probably know it a little bit already.
Yeah. I will say this. Hills is a great TV watcher. She loves to binge. And it's trickier because obviously when you have kids, you can't just sit and take an afternoon and watch 5 episodes.
Right. We're not doing that. And Anna has to go to bed quite a bit earlier than I do. So that's where my time comes
Your schedule has to be linked. Yeah, it's true. It's tough. Well, I know you got to run. We got another question, so I'll answer that. But truth, it was great. Text me if you end up wanting to do a draft later or anything. Cheers. Right. Always a blast.
See you, folks. It's been fun.
All righty. And if there's any other questions, let me know. You guys are welcome to continue. I'll be here. Like I said, if 5 people end up messaging in, they want to watch another one, I don't care. I'll probably do another one. Anyways, 16 team leagues of deep three gaming. STR3 gaming. Got a trade offer Devontae Adams exchange for TJ Hawkins and Pittman. What are your thoughts? I like it because I'm just not that big on Hawkinson. I think he's certainly better than Njoku, but I think the leap from Adams, ahead of Pittman, and I like Pittman too, but Adams is just a different tier by a long shot. And I think there's enough tight ends, Hayden Hurst or, Mo Alley Cox, Brevin Jordan. Like there's these late guys, Kyle Rudolph, that are going to be touchdown threats every week. And if you give me Adams and I have a few of those guys, I can just kind of throw a dart at the wall and hope I get the touchdown right that week. I'll go for it. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. All righty, Wolfpack. Well, thanks again so much for being here. All our content is at roadstreetjournal.com. We breed and feed fantasy wolves. My rankings, roadstreetjournal.com/bigboard. If you ever want my rankings, update them daily. The guide will be out, I believe, tomorrow. As all of it's written. I just got to get it online and the payment process all set up. But if you want to support the site, that's one of the only things we'll ever charge for. As we try to get money to pay the writers and pay for the hosting fees and all that good stuff. So please consider supporting the site if you like what we're doing. Another way to do it for free, though, is to subscribe if you haven't already to the channels, to the podcast, reviews, ratings, all that stuff does continue to help us grow so much. And that thumbs up button to help us get out to more people is so greatly appreciated. All righty, Wolfpack. Thanks again so much for being here. And Wolf of the Fancy Sheep, be the wolf. Later, guys.